Bonjour! Welcome to the third episode of Quarantine Cooking. I got to thinking, now what should I make? Bread. Today we'll be making a nice French-style baguette using some of the ingredients in our pantries. It's very easy to make, very few ingredients. A little bit time-consuming, but what else have you got to do all day? Alright, let's check out today's ingredients. We will be using some kosher salt, of course our active dry yeast to get the bread to leaven itself, and our final ingredient, bread flour. Now you'll note, bread flour has a higher protein content than most all-purpose flours. This is because the protein is actually what's going to make the glutens, and the glutens are going to be what strengthens the baguette by creating these glutinous fibers that are able to keep the baguette in place. If we were using something like a pastry flour, we would have a much lower protein content because you're looking for something with a little bit more crumble, a little bit not as elastic as baguette dough. Now, the only thing that this recipe is missing is our water. So I have a little dish of some warm water here, and I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of our yeast to that. That's about half the package here, 4-ounce package. I'm just going to go ahead and add our yeast to our water like this. Just a little sprinkle. And like I said, this is just some warm water to help the yeast get started. Up next, we are going to measure out our flour and our salt. If you notice, I'm using a scale here because it's actually more precise when you're baking to work with weights rather than cups or whatever, teaspoons, whatever you have. So we're going to go ahead, stick our bowl on here, turn this on, and we are going to measure out our flour. Let's check that. We're looking for 16 ounces. We're at 11. Go ahead and that's about a pound. Now we've just gonna add our salt. So let's go ahead, add about 2 teaspoons. So we'll just mix that up nice. And we're just gonna leave a little well in the middle here, whoops. And add our yeast. Here comes the yeast. Nice and thick. You can see how it's kind of foamed up a bit after being in the water. That's looking good. Maybe scrape out a bit of it here. Just like that. And we'll just kind of go in with the spoon for now. And just mix that together. Just kind of folding it. After that's incorporated a bit, we're going to slowly add our 10 ounces of cool water. That's a lot of it here. And now I'll go in with my hand. The dough will start to get a bit shaggy at this time. We'll add some more. You can see the dough's getting a little elastic here. Let's go ahead, add the rest of our water. And we'll just stir that with a spoon. You don't want to work the dough too much because then it will get real tough. And we don't want that. We want something nice and a little chewy, but not tough. A little shaggy, not too bad. Perfect. Now that our dough has begun to take shape, all we have to do is put a little cover on it. So we've got a little dish towel, and I'll just put that over the bowl. And here, we're just going to let it sit for about a half hour. Well, it has been about a half hour, so we are going to go and look at our dough. Let's get a look at that. You can see it's risen a little bit. We're going to go ahead and lightly flour our working space here. But that's looking good. Get some on your hands. And now we will just pick up our dough. There it is. Flatten this out. Just kind of like that. And then we're just gonna fold it. Just like that. No need to knead it. Like a little burrito. And we'll flatten it out again. If you get sticky, add some more flour. And once again into thirds. So we've got our dough. We're just gonna get a second bowl. This one's clean. The other one might have some dough residue on it. So I'm actually gonna just take this and I'm going to lightly oil it with some olive oil and just put it around sort of the brim here. And we can just kind of move it around kind of like this, get a ring on it. And then as that's working its way around, it's just gonna fall down a little bit. And you can also take a paper towel and you can just kind of, we just want it to be lightly oiled. And we're just gonna put our bread, or at least the dough, right in there. And we're gonna cover it for another hour or two. Check, see if it's about doubled, and I'll see you then. So it's been about 2 hours, so let's go ahead and open up our dough. And that's looking pretty good. It's about double in size. So let's go ahead and spread out some more flour. Oil helps it slide out. All right, so now that we've got all the dough out, we can go ahead, maybe add a little bit more flour to it. Just like that. Remember, we don't want to knead it. We're just going to cut it. We're just going to take our knife like this, and we're just going to quarter it. So right down the middle and across. And now we're ready to shape them into our little baguettes. We're looking for something a little over a foot long. So roll it back and forth, stretch it out a little bit. Doesn't have to look perfect, just nice and even. Now you can see I've transferred the baguettes to a baking sheet lined with a cloth coated with a little bit of flour so they don't stick. And this is how our baguettes are going to rest. I'm simply going to put a second towel over them to cover them. And these are just going to sit for about a half hour to 45 minutes, so adieu. While our baguettes are resting, now is the perfect time to preheat the oven. We're just going to set that to a nice 450 degrees. And while the oven is preheating, I have a little something special. It's a little Pyrex dish full of water. Now we're going to put this into the oven while it preheats and while the baguettes are going to be baking actually, because it's going to create steam. And what the steam is going to do is it's going to create this sort of a crispy layer to our baguettes, so they'll be nice and hard on the outside, but then nice and soft on the inside, which is perfect. Open up that oven. And we're just gonna set our dish of water right on the bottom rack here, right there. Now that our dish is in the oven, all we have to do is wait for our baguettes to finish resting. The oven is preheated, the baguettes are done resting. Let's go ahead, put them on a greased baking sheet, and then slap them in the oven. You can see the steam coming right off of there. Uh-oh. We're gonna let that bake for 20 minutes, but keep an eye on it because it could be more or less. Just make sure it's nice and golden brown. You should see when it's done. All right, it's been 20 minutes, so let's check on our baguettes. Not bad. It's only now that I realized I forgot to score them. Something like this. How about a taste test? Look at that. Nice and soft on the inside. You can't beat fresh bread. If you're not doing anything all day, you know, just work on this. That's good bread. And with that, I'll leave you to it. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, comment. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.